Today, look at using Ubuntu to do an update of the firmware of this Intel Optane drive. There's many ways to do this. If you're under Windows, you're probably going to use Toolbox, and if you're using firmware that's easily downloadable, yeah, use Intel's regular GUI tools. But today, I'm actually using Ubuntu, and I'm trying out a firmware that I've already downloaded. So this video is not about covering how to install Ubuntu. I've got it already installed in this Intel Xeon D on the left. You just saw it from the boot selection menu. Ubuntu is now going to boot up. I also have already downloaded the firmware I'm about to go to. And then finally, this article, actually scrolling down near the bottom here. Let's go way down here. You'll see screenshots of me actually doing, there we go. Me actually doing the nvme CLI commands to do a firmware upgrade. So I'm basically going to do that again today with a little different firmware. Figured why not record it for you, get used to the different tools that are out there. Specifically command line tools. And this is an open source NVMe tool, by the way. So, all right. Now, downloads. The downloads folder already has it. So if I open a terminal window and do cd downloads, there's the firmware. Cool. How do I get rid of that? All right, I'm going to go full screen on this so you can see easily what's going on. All right, what were the key commands here? Well, there's sudo nvme list. Sounds good. And I cannot cut and paste that. That's right, because this is an out-of-band remote control session. It's called IKVM. So we're not going to have the luxury of being cut and paste friendly content here on the right. Not a problem. Not very complicated commands I'm about to type. So all right, so we can see the Intel Optane drive. We can see we're at 311 right now. All right, next. Whoops. Okay, if I hit type ahead, it didn't work. So it looks like I'm going to have to just go ahead and type that. E0N1, got it. How about type ahead here? Sure hope that works. There we go. So I want to move from 311 to this 320 business. Hit enter. And it says firmware download success. That was extremely fast. All right. Now we got to activate it. Next. Any type ahead? No. Okay, I'm going to very carefully proofread. Okay, looks good. I am plugged into a UPS battery, by the way. You don't want your server turning off in the middle of this or losing power in your house or anything. That would be bad. You could end up with an expensive brick. All right, very quick. Activated firmware. Cool. What's next? There's a format command. Type ahead worked there. Just double checking, no typos, hit enter. And this is where things get a little slow. So at this point, you'll see the clock in the upper right, 7:51 p.m. And now we wait and we wait. Sometimes this has given me troubles in the past, so we'll see what happens. Probably speed up the clock a little now at this point until something happens. And I'll resume recording. So I went and stuck another SATA drive in there, and it has Windows on it. I'm going to use that to install the Intel tools so we can see what's in here. So let's have a look. Wow. Kind of meant to use Google, not Bing. But even without tools, we might be able to have a look at the disk drive and see what it's at. All right, so here's the Intel Optane 375 gig. That sounds promising. 375 in the model number there. But that's the capacity. If I go to details and change this to hardware IDs, there it is, 320. So the firmware did successfully get updated. So that's cool. So we now have kind of a sneak preview, right? Now if we've got storage controllers, you'll see it's a standard NVMe device driver right now. Just Windows XP, Windows 10's built-in driver, because you see this ancient version. Isn't it weird, right? 2006, makes you think XP. But anyhow, that's normal behavior for Windows 10 to show you when it comes to driver version. And if we do update driver and try to locate a new driver for that NVMe device, that Intel Optane, probably not going to work. I know it's not going to work. Come on, I tried that before. So anyhow, I'm bored waiting. All right. So here's our support page. And drivers and software would be pretty good, but I guess it didn't bring me there. Caps lock reversal. Let's see, Intel Optane memory. Yep, nope. That's all talking about the consumer stuff. So we need the P4800X download. How about I go to Google? Actually, the support probably would have been a better landing page. It's going to bring me there anyway. And what do we have? Okay, Windows 10 NVMe drivers. Looks like it's August 14th, which is a mere 4 days ago. Awesome. There's also a firmware update tool, but let's start with the driver. And I'm going to make sure P4800X shows in here. This version does not support the P4800X, so I got to go back to this one. And now it says P4800X. June. Not as new, but still there. Now watch what happens if I go here. It bounces me back. All right, so we know I need this driver version. Fine. Go ahead and download that. All right, I'm going to extract that folder. And again, clutter reduction to try to reduce confusion. We are looking at a remote machine. Think of it as a remote desktop, but it's not. It's like the VGA output of that machine. It's called IKVM. And yeah, that's how we can see everything that's going on, including reboots. All right, so the download is done. And the clock is wrong. Okay, 5 hours ahead for some reason, but whatever. Got a strange time zone set, apparently. All right, so we've extracted the download bundle. It's got some sort of release notes. Okay. Installer sounds promising. Such a fresh install here. We don't even have file name showing. It's just a plain vanilla install of Windows 10. All right, we're about to install that. Now, I think I'm going to just leave that going because we're going to see Device Manager kind of bounce, doing its thing as new stuff is recognized. So here we go. Intel Optane driver getting installed. Yep. Left-hand screen is repainting, and now it says Intel Optane. Cool, success. Click here to open log. We can actually see what it's done. Give a nice detailed install report. Cool. Finish. Interesting, did not make me reboot. But yeah, let's have a look at this driver. It's now new. And if we say update driver, just for grins again, I want to see if this actually finds anything newer. No. Okay, cool. So we have an Intel Optane driver that's new, installed for that device. Cool. What about the toolbox? Just a query to look at what's on there already. So back arrow our way, and we got the firmware update tool, OS independent. Now that's a boot ISO. I want the data center tool. And this is another command line thingy. So you don't get a fancy tool here. Now, there we go. For this data center tool, they want you to use one of these versions of Linux. I ran into trouble on Ubuntu. So they're talking about the kernel version, and that's why they, well, that's probably why they only list those versions. That's a little bit tricky, but yeah, those are obviously common in enterprise. All right, so we've got this open. I'm going to extract it, and let's see what's inside. I've used this once before. It's been a little while. And ridiculous that file name extensions is off. There we go. So we have a tool. We have release notes, user guide, all kinds of stuff. Let's see what happens if I click on this. Okay, we have the tool installed. And the guide tells us what? Command line stuff. So you're not running this as some sort of GUI. But there is firmware updates, firmware updatability and more in there. All right, so I try this out. Opening up a command prompt as admin. And I have no idea where this tool is installed to. Let's see if it even works. isdc did not work. No. All right, where did it get installed to? All right, so we're learning the tool here together. And our syntax. All right, displaying all the drives that are present would be an awesome start. I would like to do that. Let's see if I can get a little better resolution here. Or I'll just remote desktop into this thing. And that is an excellent way to get full resolution here. 22. Just make sure remote is on. Set that up. Okay, we're in. We have a nice roomy remote desktop. And I'm ready to have a CLI session going while I have some sort of documentation also going, visible. All right. Nice, that worked. So, what's next? Selected SSD contains current firmware as of this tool's release. Firmware 201.0320. Now you may remember it never finished formatting, so that's the part I'm a little worried about. So I want to see a firmware update success. Firmware update. So we're going to load. Firmware binaries are embedded into the tool. All right. Sample would be kind of awesome. That's on the next page. Okay, how many of them are there? Physical drive 2, so 0 is probably going to fail. Nope, first one. So Intel SSD, there's only one. Proceed with the update. I guess it's good to go. And it's already current. So nvme format looks good. Start. Yeah, what are they talking about? Start verb to execute a function on the selected device. Okay, I'm going to want to do a format. So, I don't know. That doesn't make any sense. That's the Windows start command, so what are they talking about? isdc nvme format start. All right. Okay, while this formatting is underway, I'm curious if the CPU is at all busy. I'm guessing no. NVMe is pretty lightweight and should have minimal impact on the CPU. There's a little impact. Still, it's doing something. And what is doing something to the disk? Let's have a look. Who's doing a little bit of activity here? System. It's not really going to enlighten us. Anyhow, so the formatting is underway. I'll let it continue. When it's done, hopefully it's done without erroring out like it did under Linux, then we should see success. And I'm thinking of doing a SSD self-test right here, this other command, just to get some sort of reassurance that the drive itself feels it's healthy. We'll see. Okay, that's good. Whatever the utilization was, it was not NVMe because it's still at 8%. It's probably Windows Update or something. The format finished. And yeah, again, that's good. So what's next? How about that self-test? All right, guess that answers that one. So that's probably about it. Oh, temperature would be fun. Type ahead. Does not work. HDA temperature, Intel SSD. All right, in that order. And I can't check the temperature either. Oh well. Okay, so firmware, serial number, bootloader, format completed. Can't really see what else I need to do. I think I'm good here. All right, so I'm doing a restart. And yes, it was Windows Update in the background, making the CPU busy at 8%. On the SSD, the C drive, that is running Windows 10. The extra drive, the NVMe drive, that's not formatted or anything, the Intel Optane drive, that's the one we just updated the firmware of. So, well, the firmware is already up to date, excuse me. That's the one we formatted. So now the next step is to just get an operating system up and install something on the Intel Optane, see if everything's behaving well. So I just rebooted ESXi after the NVMe kind of reformat there. And here's the ESXi host client, the web user interface, pointing the web browser straight to the ESXi server. Now when I have a look, and it's probably going to ask me to, let's see, I don't know. I want to hit refresh. I want to make sure you're seeing a live view. I want to know if we can do anything with this device. Okay, that session is dead and it's from the previous reboot. Let me just stop waiting for it and just re-authenticate here. All right, once we're in, we're looking at storage again. Under adapters, yeah, we can see another NVMe device. We're not seeing this one. So still not having a lot of luck with seeing this device. If we say new data store, there's no devices with free space, so we can't do a VMFS partition. All right, how about PuTTY? So what am I doing in PuTTY and why? Well, let's have a look here. The nvme command. I just want to know, can I see the firmware of the NVMe drive? In other words, is the drive visible in any way? So I got that on my clipboard. Let's make this nice and wide. And you can see a Samsung 960. What else we got? Probably should have done an NVMe list of some sort. That was a mistake. Well, there it is. So the drive does show up. So the drive is there. We just can't do anything with it. Even though I just use Intel's tools to update to firmware 3.2.0, and I used Intel's tools to do a full NVMe disk format, and it finished. Took like 8 minutes. Still, I have used probably dozens of SSDs over the last 2 years with Intel ZND. I've never had a device where I can't just format it and use it normally under ESXi. So I don't really know what's going on here. And yeah, it's been a problem. So I'll have to look into that. Well, thanks for watching, and thanks for visiting tinkertry.com.